Hi, I'm Dario Vidosic, head coach of the Brighton women's football team, and this is Unpacked. How many hours of football do you watch a week? A lot. So yeah, a lot. Watch back our games in the season, watch the opponent's games, then I'll watch throughout the weekend many games that are live on television. So even now throughout the pre-season, catching up on all the games that are on TV and watching opponents upcoming. So yeah, jam-packed full of football. How do you keep out-of-favour players on side? Look, I think it's a little bit unfair to say out of favour. I think everyone's always in favour. Sometimes it's a tactical idea for an opponent. Sometimes it is down to performance, but I think it's important to stay close to players, to help them develop, to speak to them about what potentially needs to improve or what the idea was for this match day. So I think it's just, very simply, just a very honest and just be, totally honest as possible. Upon reflection last season, it would be now to more go to the players and speak to them weekly. And, I think it's good to have that feedback as well, because sometimes maybe it's not a comfortable conversation for a player to have. So I think it's one that, we want to try to talk to the players as much as possible. What do you do on day one at a new club? I have to think back to last season, what I've done. I think it's just you set the sort of the standards that we're after. It's an introduction in the football philosophy and the way we want to play. But I think most importantly, it's just more to get to know myself and what's expected. And then we head out to training and then we just build on that each and every day. How can you tell when a young player is ready to step up? That's a good question. Sometimes you have to put them into play, and then that's when you find out. We know there's always going to be ups and downs with young players. They're learning, they're feeling new experiences for the first time, especially in the WSL, which is at the highest level. But it's always comes back down to training, how they're performing, and if they have a consistency with that, then it gives the managers a much easier opportunity to give them the chance on the weekend. How far in advance do you decide your starting 11? I think you have an idea. So I always try to look to the next opponent and see if anything sort of from the week before can be applied for the following match. But, you sort of have an idea, but it always comes back down to training, how our players are performing. Can they perform the tactical idea for the match? And sometimes it is a tweak that we see or that we think will be, so then different players might need to be involved. They won't find out until probably the day before a game. They might have a little bit of an idea, but there's been times where there's been an 11 2 days prior to a game, and that's changed then for the following day when we announce the squad. But usually, the day before, that's when they usually find out. Are there specific tactics that are unique to the women's game? I don't think so. I think there's a lot of similarities between the men's game and the women's game in terms of tactics and different ways that teams look to play. So, I don't think there's too much difference. Do you ever look to other sports for new ideas? Look, I'm a bit of a sports fan. I like to watch the basketball, I like to watch the Formula One, although the basketball is much harder now with the time difference. But I think you can get good insight from other sort of elite coaches and elite athletes in their way of life, in the way of their way of thinking, and then maybe there is the possibility of taking some ideas and applying them to our environment. Do you invent your own training drills? Some yes, some are copied that I've maybe seen, but then sometimes it's ones that I've seen that I've just tweaked and made it more applied to what we want to do and how we want to play. Do you have any pre-match rituals like the players do? Not so much. I like to keep all my notes down on a match day. So I have my little booklet for the opposition, what they like to do with the ball. It's sort of everything that's in my head. I like to just write it down and then look over it before a game. But in terms of a routine or anything like that, I think I feel quite comfortable on match day. I look forward to match day. But in terms of a ritual, it's probably just that, write down my notes and have it all ready. I try to leave, I think on match day, I try to leave the players to be. So I think match day is the players' day, so they need to have their space to do what they need. But in terms of any rituals, I'm not too sure. Is it possible to make major tactical tweaks from the sideline mid-game? I think you can make tweaks. I don't think you can make major ones because it's, again, probably too much needs to change. Then it's not right because we've got a way of playing or we have an idea or how we want to play. So I think there is always tweaks when you see in case the opponent has changed a little bit from what we've predicted. So then we might have to make a slight tactical adjustment just to be able to either stop them or capitalise on the space that we see. So I think it's, sometimes it's just sort of subtle tweaks, but never something too major. Do managers apply for the job or are they headhunted? Yeah, I didn't apply for the job. I was headhunted, so I haven't applied for a managerial job, which has been so far nice. I've only been very short in my coaching tenure, so for the 2 roles that I've had, I was sort of not so much headhunted at Melbourne City. I was the assistant at the time, and then was given the first team job. But yeah, for Brighton, I was headhunted. Why do women's football managers do the post-match team talk on the pitch rather than the dressing room? Yes, I don't do this. So this one doesn't apply to me. I don't like to do it on the field. So I think, that's a chance now for the players to have their space, or they go and see the fans and either thank them for travelling and supporting us, or go and see all the home fans, sign some autographs for all the children that have come. But yeah, I'm one that, if I need to talk to the players, we go inside, we debrief in there, we talk. And so I don't do it. You won't see me doing it on the pitch. Look, I think it's sometimes, everyone's got their own reasons for what they do, and maybe it's nice to have that debrief to stay together, whether it's a positive result or a negative result. So it's just that first few words, but I think it's always good after a game, regardless of which way it goes, to let everyone be in their own sort of emotions. Majority of the players are quite tired, they're under fatigue, so probably whatever you say, they won't remember anyway. Yeah, but for us, I always find it's if I really feel I need to talk to them, then we'll wait for everyone to come in, we'll have a quick debrief. But I think it's always best then to just, leave it, reflect, and then once we see each other again, then we can really talk and, look at the positives and the negatives. Do managers trash talk each other in the same way players do during a game? Look, not really. I think there's competition, obviously, between the sidelines. Never anything where there's trash talk or trying to be disrespectful and that. I think, it's just the nature of the game. Everyone's competitive, everyone wants to win, but, I don't think there's a lot of respect between the managers, at least that I've found with everyone from last season. I think it'll be very much the same for this season. Is it better to have a general tactical identity or tailor tactics each week to each opponent? Look, for me, I always think it's better, at least this is my opinion, to have a general tactical identity. Obviously, we do look to the opponent, but we just tweak our idea a little bit, where we don't really change then to match up to the opponent, so where we change shape or different things like that. So, but look, there's no wrong answer to this question. I think some teams are really good at doing that. Other teams have their identity and they like to stick to it. So I always find the first one, that we have our identity. That's what we practice. That's what we become good at. We try to improve that each and every week. But obviously, we take into account what the opposition is doing as well, that we can try to get the better of them and make sure they don't get the better of us.